is ringing. See that wicked, it's a melody. They love to hear it singing. They don't resist, they don't believe in making a switch. That's what the devil, they give them a kiss. They believe he can grant them every wish, but he just leading them down to the pit. He give them a deal to think that they rich, to poison the people they already sick. Heaven and hell, make the right pick. If you going to hell, it's already lit, lit, lit. It's already lit for them. Heaven and hell, make the right pick. It's already lit for them. Lit, lit, lit. It's already lit for them. If you going to hell, it's already lit. It's already lit for them. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. Shine a light. He got to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. He got to expose everything in the dark. Shine a light. He got to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. You got to see the demons in the dark. Yeah. Levels of self, levels of pleasure, levels of their own sins. Hiding it in the dark, acting like nobody can see them. Yeah, we know you lustful when you slide in the DMs. Trying to get with Shawty and you still with your BM. No, she ain't innocent, she full of sin too. Jumping from brew to brew. This is not skipping my loot. Hey, look, this a fair warning. Acting like you doing a father's business, but you whoring. Damn, just had a vision. It was clear. They hide behind the father's word, so they sing on a pier. They use their status and position to present themselves as pure. Death angel hunting season. You look like a blind deer. Look, the father's eyes 1,000 times brighter than the sun. He got the purge with fire. He ain't talking about a gun. Ain't no you don't get it now like a slave. You well done. Coming like a thief in the night. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. They can't hold me. They can't fold me. They don't phase me. They can't persuade me. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to expose everything in the dark. Shine a light. He about to reveal everything in the dark. Shine a light. You about to see them demons in the dark. Yeah.
Came up with this. Look at their acronym. You guys understand? Nations of kings and priests. What would the acronym be there? No cap. Their acronym is no cap.
These scriptures like a roadmap, picture perfect Kodak. Alabama folding chair upside your head, hold that. Remember Moses and them 2 Egyptian soldiers, don't let me go back. Hats off, nations of kings and priests, no cap.
That's it. That's nice.
You sure about that?
I'll give you guys props on that.
What you say about us vocab? Truth is out, deuces out. Now they got the nooses out. Israel like the sand of the sea. Who can count us? Who can doubt the most high? You can try, you can found it, Yahweh Shai, a life raft. Christ can save you from drowning, save you from you and you from losing. Psalms 94, who gon' rise against the evildoers? The chosen still lost, the whole world is clueless. The suffix that pertains to this issue, we are not Jewish. Romans 9 and 4, if you need more of the Most High's influence.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Want to say Kahla, Yahweh, Bashem, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. All praises to the Most High and His Son, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, who died for the nation of Israel. You saw called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in the Western Hemisphere today. All right. Want to give a peace and salutations to all the elders still pushing this truth many, many years and, enduring as we endure in these last days, especially ones here in Babylon the Great. All right. All praise to the Most High. So this is a class that I've been, kind of working on for a minute. Just a little history about, history about the class. This class was originally one of our classes that we created many years ago. Had very few members and it was a it was a dope class, one of my favorite classes that we did. So what I'm doing today, I've been working on um, magnifying the class a little bit more, adding to it. It's a history class based on the scriptures. Us Israelites, when we look at the scriptures, we tell everyone this is a history book. Well, today we're going to go into the history in the Bible, and then we're going to project that onto real life and real historical figures that played a role in the history of the Bible, right? So it's very important for us to go through these things, review these things. Breakdowns and debates play their role, but y'all got to start thinking differently, man. We need all aspects of the scriptures. Remember, according to these apologists, according to your enemies, they will try and defame the words of the Lord and what's in the scriptures, but we understand that they're history, right? In the book of Revelation, it talks about that the earth shall give to the woman. And what does that mean? That means that eventually knowledge will start increasing, and we're going to start, grabbing on to different things, and different things are going to be revealed to us, the true prophets of the Lord. And as they're revealed to us, we're going to start being able to reteach our people and wake them up from the sleep that they have been put here in Great Babylon. And no other dynasty nation has ever been more instrumental in either hiding our true identity, telling us to forget about it, than Babylon. All right, so be mindful of those things. So these classes, while they are entertaining, they're also extremely important. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kind of flip back and forth with the scriptures. I did create a presentation for y'all entertainment. I created a presentation. All right, let me share my screen. Okie dokie. So we're going to be going in today and the Herodian Dynasty. All right. We've all heard of King Herod in the New Testament, right? Well, if y'all don't know, there was more than one Herod in the New Testament. What we're going to do is grab the beginning of where Herod's dynasty. In addition, you're going to see a connection to the small hats and how they converted into Judaism. I guess you pronounce it that way, Judaism, the religion of Judaism, because it started from us. The true Israelites converted them into them becoming Ish, or what they like to call themselves, like, but not them. They say it in their name. When it's called, Jewish, they're not saying they're a Jew. They're saying they're like a Jew, but not quite. Why? Because they are converts. And this will be the genesis of the beginning of that. All right. We're going to grab a scripture. All right. We're going to go to the book of Maccabees. Okay. We're going to go to the book of Maccabees. First Maccabees. We're going to go to Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1. All righty. So if y'all don't know where the book of Maccabees is, it's in the Apocrypha. Apocrypha will either look like this, and Salakia, my Apocrypha is kind of weathered. Nonetheless, you also find it in the King James 1611. All right. So this is the book of Maccabees, First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 1, and it reads, "In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simon, a priest of the sons of Jareb, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin." So now we see that this is where Mattathias, right? Mattathias, a prominent figure in our history, right? We'll keep reading. And he had what? 5 sons, right? Joanne called Kedes, Simon called Tithias, Judas, which was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Awunian, and Jonathan, whose surname was Appius. So now we see that he had the 5 sons, okay? And we see John in there, okay? So now we're going to find out who actually John is. We're going to go to the book of First Maccabees, chapter 13 and verse 53. Okay. And then we're going to grab, this is the son of Mattathias. So this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 13 and verse 53. "And when Simon saw that John, his son, was a valiant man, he made him captain of all the hosts which dwell in Gazaria." So now Simon, the son of Mattathias, saw that his son John was valiant, so he made him captain. So now let's grab the historical count. So now, let me share my screen. This is John. Little bit of history of John. He's a Hasmonean ruler of Judea. Why? Because Simon, his father, made him ruler. From 134 to 104 BCE. Okay. Serving as high priest and political leader. He is known for expanding Judea's territory throughout military conquest, including subjugation of the Idumean and Samaria, and was instrumental in building the power and prosperity of the Hasmonean kingdom. Here's the point. He compelled the Idumeans to adopt Jewish customs and practices, a significant and forced act, proselytium. So he forced them, right, to keep their customs of the Jews, right? That's extremely important, right? Because with this, it started the converting of the Idumean, right, or Edomites, all right, nation to being Jewish. Okay. And that will tie into a lot of things that we do or that we see today. Okay. With that being said, let's go to the book of Mark. So now we're going to go to the book of Mark, chapter 3 and verse 6. Okay. The book of Mark, chapter 3 and verse 6. Oops. All right, and it reads, "And the Pharisees went forth straightway to counsel with the Herodians against him how that he might destroy him. Let me start at verse 5. No, Salakia. This is Mark chapter 3. This is him, Yahushai, healing in the synagogue, right, on the Sabbath day. Right, so this is verse 5. And when he had looked round about on them with anger, being grieved for the hardness of their hearts, he saith unto the man, stretch forth thy hand. And he stretched forth out, and his hand was restored whole as the other. Right, so now he healed on the Shabbat. Verse 6. And the Pharisees went forth straightway and took counsel with the Herodians. So why are the Pharisees getting counsel with the Herodians against him? Because we were subject to the rulers over us. Okay. Verse 7. But Jesus withdrew himself and his disciples to the sea, and a great multitude of Galilee followed him, and from Judea, watch this, and from Jerusalem, and from Idumea, and from beyond Jordan, and they about Tyre and Zidon, a great multitude, when they had heard what great things he did, to come to him. Remember, we just read about John having a rulership in Idumea. Now, this is in the Greco-Roman, in the Maccabean time frame, right? So this is before Christ. Now we're reading with Christ. Now the Idumeans, they have rulership there. And when we say Idumeans, the Idumean, and then you have the Romans, which we consider them the same race. Nonetheless, they are two different sects within the Edomite nation. Okay, let's go to Matthew. Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1. Now we're going to read about this guy. Okay. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1. And it reads, now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came a wise man from the east of Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. All right. That is prophecy. You read that in the book of Numbers, right? Verse 3. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Now it says here he's king. What seat do you think he's sitting on? He's sitting on, technically he's sitting on David's seat, but he's sitting on Christ's seat. So of course he's troubled because he says he's the king of the Jews. Well, now Herod says he's king of the Jews, even though he's an Edomite. But watch this. Let's go to the presentation real quick. We're going to read about someone who is his father. So this is Antipas the Idumean. This is this is a character in history. This is not something that I made up. Okay, this is a character in history. You can look this up yourself. Okay, and Antipas is the Idumean. Literally, that was his nickname. Okay, 114 BCE through 43 BCE, founder of the Herodian Dynasty and father of Herod the Great. He was the son of Antipas and had formerly held that name, a native to Idumea, a region of southwest of Judea, in which the Edomites settled during the classical period. Antipater became a powerful official under the Hasmonean kings. Remember, John was ruling, right? The Hasmonean kings were they? They were priests, Levites, Levitical priests, ruling in the time of the Maccabees, the time of that Roman, Greco-Roman captivity. Okay, so Antipater became powerful under the Hasmonean kings, and subsequently became a client of the Roman general Pompey when Pompey conquered Judea in the name of the Roman Republic. Y'all see the connection here? Okay. So this was forming already. Okay. We're going to move on to here, Herod the Great, the one that we just read about in Matthew, the 2nd chapter. Okay. This is C72, C4 BCE, was a Roman Jewish client king of the Herodian kingdom of Judea. He is known for his colossal building projects. Along these works are the rebuilding of the Second Temple in Jerusalem and the expansion of the base. So that's why you see that base where they go at and they pray to. That's what they're praying to. This is who built that. Okay. The Western Wall being part of it. That's where all the kings, all the presidents go, and they bow, and I think they even, whatever. I ain't gonna say it. I don't want to be monetized, but anyways, that's where all the presidents go before they become rulers of America. Okay. And many of the critical details of his life are recorded in the works of the 1st century CE Roman Jewish historian Josephus. Despite Herod's success, including forging a new aristocracy, he has been criticized by various historians. His reign politicized historians' opinions, some viewing his legacy as evidence of success and some viewing as evidence of tyranny. Okay, I would say tyranny. That's my opinion. Okay, so let's go back to the Bible. Let's go back to the Bible. Okay. We're going to jump down to verse 19. Okay, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 2, and verse 19. And it reads, "But when Herod was dead," so now we read that Herod died. This is Antipater, the Idumean son. He dies, right? Behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph, saying, "Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life," right? Because we know that he was, after the life of Yahushua, just like we understood that in Exodus, that we're going to kill the firstborn, right? Which is another thing that makes you wonder. In the Talmud, it says that the woman determines the nationality of the child. However, throughout the whole Bible, it's the man that determines the nationality of the child. So even scientifically, the male seed determines the sex of the child. What gender the child's going to be before it's even born. So these are things that even what you would call so-called science teaches you, right? But for some reason, it's you have a left hand knowledge and you have a right hand knowledge. So understand those and discern, and through wisdom and through the words of the Most High. All right. So I'm gonna continue. We're gonna read to 21. So verse 21, and it reads, and he arose and took the young child and his mother and came into the land of Israel. Verse 22. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of God in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in the city of Nazareth. And it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene, right? So we read that in the book of Zechariah, we read that in the book of Malachi. So these are prophecies. Joseph wasn't just a, whatever, just a whatever guy, man. He understood the scriptures. This is a man who carried the blood of David, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this was he understood, and what the angel told him, what God, sent the message through the angel. He understood those things. He didn't question the angel. Through faith, he left. Right? He understood the message. He understood the meaning. He understood the prophecies. This was Joseph. Okay? The father of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Right? Right. So I want to get to this one. It says Archelaus, right? So let's go ahead and grab him in the presentation, read a little bit about him, who he is, and then we'll continue in the scriptures. Right. So this is the man that Joseph came to. So Herod Archelaus, 23 BC, AD 18, was the Antiarch of Samaria, Judea, and Idumea, including the cities of Caesarea. Now, if you don't know where Caesarea is where Cornelius resided. Okay. Caesarea of Jaffa for 9 years, 4 BC and AD 6. He was the son of Herod the Great and Malasses, the Samaritan mother of Herod Antipas, and half-brother of Herod II, Archelaus, and the name meaning leading the people. He came to power after the death of his father Herod the Great in 4 BC, and ruled over one half of the territorial dominion of his father. Archelaus was removed by the Roman Emperor Augustus when Judea province was formed under the direct Roman rule, and his time of the census of Quirinius. This, you can look all this up, man. You could look all this up. I mean, this is all historical. It didn't even pull up scriptures here. I mean, this is a historical figure who has history. You can't say all this is made up. This is all in the scriptures, right? These historical figures are there. Even the timeline, look at the timeline when he ruled, when Herod died, 4 years. How long did Joseph and Mary and baby Yahweh Shai stay in Egypt? 4 years. Right? Can't make that up. Okay. Let's go back to the scriptures. So we're going to read, we read that. So let's go back to the scriptures. Salakia, not bad. Oops. Not bad. Okay. All right. Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 6. Book of Mark, chapter 6, and verse 14. All right. All right, this is the book of Mark, chapter 6, not 14. 6 and 14. All right, and it reads, and King Herod heard of him, for his name was spread abroad, and he said that John the Baptist was risen from the dead, and therefore he might do the works to show forth themselves in him. Others said that he is Elijah, and others said that he is the prophet, or as one of the prophets. But when Herod heard thereof, he said, it is John whom I beheaded. He is risen from the dead. So he didn't even understand. He thought it was, he beheaded John, right? And then now he says that Christ is John resurrected, not knowing that they were basically the same age. All right, verse 17, for Herod himself had sent forth and laid hold upon John and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip, wife, and he had married her. So now we have a conundrum here. So we have a prisoner and a wife, right? So watch this. Let's go back to the presentation, and I will explain. So let's share this. So this is Herod Antipas, 20 BC. See how many Herods there is? It's a lot of Herods, man. Right? Was the first century Herodian ruler of Galilee and Perea. He bore the title the Tetrarch, ruler of a quarter, and is referred to as both Herod the Tetrarch and King Herod in the New Testament. So mind you, we just read where it was talking about King Herod, right? Watch this. And King Herod in the New Testament, he was the son of Herod the Great and grandson of Antipas the Idumean. He is widely known today for his role of execution of who? John the Baptist. We just read that. Right? Supporting scripture. So all this, right? Going down the line here of all the Herods. Right? And then we just read about the wife, right? Watch this. Let's go to Luke. Luke 3. Talks a little bit about it there. So it's the book of Luke, chapter 3 and verse 1, and it reads, now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, Pontius Pilate beginning governor of Judea, and Herod being tetrarch of Galilee. We just read that. Right? And his brother Philip, the tetrarch of Iturea and the regions of Tyrichias and Lycius, and tetrarch the Alabine, Annas and Capias being high priest, the word of God came unto John, the son of Zacharias, in the wilderness. Talk about John the Baptist. So this is framing the time frame, right? Just before John the Baptist, was beheaded. Let's jump down to verse 29 for time's sake, all right? Verse 19, actually. But Herod the Tetrarch, being reproved by him for Herodias, his brother's Philip's wife, and for all the evils which Herod have done. So he took his brother's wife without, basically committing adultery, right? Verse 20, and added yet this above all, that he shut up John in prison, right? Now then, all the people that were baptized, and it came to pass, and Jesus also being baptized and praying in heaven was open. So this is all happened simultaneously and they're doing evil, right? Right. Watch this verse. Let's go to Leviticus, because you can't do that, man. Verse Leviticus 18 and verse 16. Okay. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 16. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. You can't do that. That's why John reproved him. Right? They should understand. They should know the law. Even though they're heathens, they said they follow the law. But they didn't follow the law. Okay? This is what we get. This is what we get for trusted heathens, man. They didn't read the scripture. They didn't read the scripture. You never trust thy enemy. But it wasn't. Let me tell you, it's not. This is not a new concept of heathens, taking on the custom of the Jews. Remember in Ezra, or excuse me, Esther 8. In Esther 8, they said that the people, in fear of the Jews, they became Jews, meaning they took on our customs. They took on the law of God. Doesn't say they were saved. It doesn't say that they pertained the same covenant we did. No. All it meant is that they became like us, the same way we became Americans. The same way if we go to another country and say, I'm going to become a citizen. Now let's say I go to, I don't know, let's say I go to South America tomorrow in the country of Uruguay, and I find out how to become a citizen. I do what is required of me. There's certain guidelines that I need to follow to become a Uruguayan citizen. Once I complete that, then they tell me if I can become a citizen. After I complete that, even when I complete that and become a citizen, I have to follow the rules and guidelines of that country. However, I am not a Uruguayan native. I'm a citizen. There are certain things that they can do that we cannot. For example, y'all know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is, right? The Terminator guy. He was governor of California. He wanted to be president of America, but he couldn't do it because he wasn't born in America. He was born in Austria. Okay. So there's certain things that he could do, certain things he could not do. There's certain things that heathens can do, certain things they cannot do. They can't keep the Passover. You want to not eat pork, or don't eat pork. Okay. So that's the gist of it. So he understood. He needed to understand that he could not uncover the nakedness of his brother's wife. That's what was going on in Luke, the 3rd chapter. Okay. Let's go to Luke, the 8th chapter. Let me share my screen. My bad, y'all. Why don't y'all say anything? You got me over here not sharing my screen and stuff. Good Lord. Y'all can hear me okay? If y'all still there, let me know if you can hear me, because I have a new microphone and whatnot. Okay, this is Luke chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 3. And it reads, And Joanna, the wife of Chuaz, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many others which ministered unto him of their substance. Okay. So this is, they're talking about Herod Antipas here. All right. I'm going to keep reading. And when much of the people were gathered together and were come unto him in every city, he spake by a parable. A sower went out to sow the seed, and the sower and some that fell on the wayside. and the some trodden down, and the fowls and devoured. And let me start at verse 1. My bad. This is Luke chapter 8 and verse 1. And it came to pass that afterwards he went out through all the city and the villages, preaching and showing the glad tidings of the kingdom of God. And the 12 were with him. And a certain woman which been healed of evil spirits and infirmities, named Mary, called Magdalene, out of whom went out 7 devils. And Joanna, the wife of Chuas, Herod's steward, and Susanna, and many of the others ministered unto him of their substance. So this is a companion of Herod's steward, right? Someone that was working for Herod, right? Let's jump to chapter 9. Luke chapter 9 and verse 7, and it reads, Now Herod the Tetrarch heard of all this that was done by him. Remember, we just read that he went throughout the city, right? How did he hear? By a steward, right? And he was perplexed, because it was of whom that John was risen from the dead. This is why he believed that. Okay. This is why he said, you know what? This is John who was raised from the dead. All right. And some that Elias appeared, Elijah had appeared, and others that the old prophets have risen again. Right. Let's go to the Luke 23. And verse 7. I'm going to start at verse 6. And when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. So now this is what Jerusalem is having, what? A feast day. So even though he wasn't supposed to have it, Herod was there to celebrate the feast day in Jerusalem. Okay. Let's keep reading. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him for a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen him by miracles he had done by him. And he questioned him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood, vehemently accused him. And Herod with his men of war sent him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a glorious robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together. You see that? For before there were enmity between themselves. So even though there was beef, they became friends together. Right? That rulership, that connection between them. Okay. So that was Antipas. Let's read about this Herod a little bit. Oh, the water, Yaakov. I appreciate that. Got this new mic. Y'all want to hear something? Preset. All right. So remember, we read about Philip, the Tetrarch, right? This is him. All right, this Philip the Tetrarch, c. 26 BCE through 34 CE, was the son of Herod the Great and of his fifth wife, Cleopatra of Jerusalem. Y'all know who that is, right? As a tetrarch, he ruled over the northeast part of his father's kingdom between 4 BCE and 34 CE. After Herod's death, he was a half brother of Herod Antipas, we read about him, and Herod Archelaus, we read about him as well. He is not the same person as Herod of Younger, whom some writers call Herod Philip I. To distinguish the two, he called Herod Philip II. They were just named the same. All right. All right. Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 4, and verse 27. Oops, let me share my screen. Kahalaya Bashim Yahushai, the water Yahweh, the water Yahushai. All right. Acts chapter 4 and verse 27. This here? 27, yo. Oh, there we go. All right. This is the book of Acts, chapter 4 and verse 27. And it reads, I'm going to start at verse 26. And verse 26, and the kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against Christ, against his Christ. For a truth against thy holy child, Jesus, whom thou hast anointed, both Herod and Pontius Pilate, with the Gentiles and people of Israel, were gathered together. You see that? That's that Herod, man. So now we're going to read about another Herod. Y'all here we bring this up all the time. This is Acts 13 and 1. This is the book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1. And it reads now. Oops. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets, teachers, as Barnabas and Simon, that were called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Mananin, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. So who do you think Saul was working for, man? Right? Again, you see the pattern all aligning, right? The pattern of history all aligning in the scriptures. There's also, man, there's like, how are you going to add to any other book? You know, this book is the greatest book ever. And it's just compiled into a historical, you know, acts. The Christians read this and they read it like what they think it is, a religious book. It's not. It's a history book, man. You know? And by the way, the prophets are black. You see that? Y'all don't see that right there? Okay. So we're going to read about him. Acts 25. We're almost done, y'all. Acts 25 and verse 13. All right. And after the certain days, King Agrippa and Bernice came to Caesarea to salute Festus. And when they had been there many days, Festus declared Paul's cause unto the king, saying, there is a certain man left in bonds by Felix, about whom, when I was in Jerusalem, the chief priest and the elders and the Jews informed me, desiring to have judgments against him. Verse 16, whom I answered, it was not the manner of the Romans to deliver any man to die, before that we have accusers face to face, and have license to answer for him concerning the crime laid against him. Wherefore they have come hither without any delay. On tomorrow I sat on the judgment seat and commanded the man to be brought forth. It's talking about Paul. Against whom the accuser stood up, they brought him none accusers of such things as I supposed. Verse 19, but a certain questions against him for their own subsubsection, and of one Jesus, which was dead, whom Paul affirmed to be alive. And because I doubted of such manner of questions, I asked him whether he would go to Jerusalem and be there and judge the matter. But when Paul had appeared to be reserved unto the hearing of Augustus, I commanded him to be kept till I might send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said unto Festus, I would also hear the man myself. Tomorrow, said he, and ye shall hear him. So now we're going to see this is painting the point of Agrippa wanting to hear Paul, right? So now we're going to see this account. So let's go. Let's see who this Agrippa is. What a weird name, Agrippa, huh? Don't make no sense to me. So let me bring this up. Shalom, Akia. Yabasha Shabakata. All right, here we go. Where's this guy here? Hold on a second. Oh, this is. Here we go. Okay, Khan. So this is Herod Agrippa the First, reigned 37 to 44 A.D. Grandson of Herod the Great. Key factors: persecuted the early church, killed James. That's very important too. Imprisoned Peter, struck dead by an angel for worshiping as a god. Understand the God complex that this dynasty has. They still have it to this day, right? We just read that in Acts 12:1. Let's continue reading in Acts. So this is Agrippa the First, okay? This is Agrippa the First. Oop, my bad. That was 12 and 21. Let's go to Acts 12 and 21. All right. We'll start at verse 20. All right. We'll start at verse 20. All right. And it reads, and Herod was highly displeased of them of Tyre and Zidon, but they came to one accord to him, having him and Blastus, the kings of Trababine, their friend, desired peace because their country was nourished by the king's country. And upon a set day, Herod, arrayed in royal apparel, sat upon his throne and made an oration unto them. And the people gave a shout, saying, it is the voice of God and not of man. And immediately an angel of the Lord smote him. Man, because he have not God the glory, or gave God the glory, he was eaten of worms and gave up the ghost. Y'all understand what just happened here? This was a man who was eaten up by worms, commanded by God. Okay? So happened to this guy. That's what happened to this guy. Okay. So, once again, man, this was, just a class I wanted to kind of, add to, and you can see how many Herods there are in the scriptures. And there's a lot, man, so we got to understand. And you could look them up yourself. There's a couple more scriptures to go through, but nonetheless, man, I just wanted to kind of, do a quick class on that and let you know so you can kind of see, the differences of the Herods in the scriptures and how it ties into our history. So, what I'm saying? History is extremely important. Make sure y'all are getting y'all history down, man, because they're trying to get us from all angles, man. So make sure y'all up in your history. Anyways, love y'all, man. I want to say call Allah, how about Shim Yahweh Shai, Kwam Yashala.